everyone, and welcome back to another consignment update at Garden Holgate Auction Rooms. And today we have a consignment update special. We're focusing on a single artist collection. We have a huge collection of over 300 lots from this artist in particular, and that artist is Chris Cross, the bassist and songwriter with Ultravox. Chris was there from the very early years, right from the beginning, a founding member when they were known as Tiger Lily, and then changing their name to Ultravox. So he was there through the John Fox era, right through to when Midge Ure became frontman, and they had their huge album Vienna. And they have gone down really in history, and a lot of people do say that they were the band that almost invented or created the 1980s. So with their music, with their style, with their synth, and all the sounds that they produced. So a truly iconic band of the era. We've got some great things to have a look at today. As you can see, I am sporting a 1984 original Set Movements t-shirt here, and you can see all the lovely ephemera, gold discs and things behind me, and of course all of his instruments as well. So some really iconic instruments, most of which were used with Ultravox in some capacity and in his home studio. But like I said, we've got instruments, not just guitars. We've got other sort of weird and wacky instruments. We've got synths. We've got all of his studio gear, his recording gear. We've got saxophones, wind instruments, percussion, all that kind of thing. Like you can see behind me, gold discs. We have lots of vinyl as well. We have his extensive vinyl collection, not just Ultravox vinyl, but other artists as well. And we have lots of tour merchandise. You name it, we've got it. Over 300 lots taking place on the 3rd of December. As I say, will be the 3rd of December, starting with lot 1. So we do start with the Chris Cross collection at 10 AM. Public viewing the Friday and the Monday before the auction. So it's going to be a big event. It will be one of our biggest guitar auctions, our final sale of the year, a 4-day sale taking place between the 3rd and 6th of December, but with the Chris Cross collection particularly taking place on the 3rd of December. Now, if you go onto our website, you will be able to see a catalogue preview of some, not all, of the collection. Now, the catalogue preview will highlight all of the guitars and some of the, I guess, important instruments that we use of Ultravox, like synths and things like that. We have featured some of the gold discs because they sort of, I guess, highlight the success of Ultravox. There will be a few other things as well, but the preview catalogue is just a small fraction of what is on offer. If you're into vinyl, if you're after tour merchandise and all that kind of thing, and you do want a piece of Ultravox history, then come back and check the full catalogue on our main website approximately 3 weeks before the auction. But at least the preview website at guitarauctions.com or guitar-auctions.co.uk will give you a good insight as to what we've got coming up and some of his iconic instruments used with Ultravox. So I think that's enough of me waffling on. I'm sure you all want to get to see the instruments, but we're really privileged to offer this collection on behalf of Chris's widow, Lynn Allen. Chris sadly did pass away earlier this year in March, and it is just an absolute honour to offer Chris's collection involved with such an iconic band that is Ultravox. Let's take a look. So with these guitars, we're not necessarily going through in order of importance. We're quite simply going through in the order they do appear in the catalogue. We're not showing every single guitar, but we are showing most of them. And Chris had a very he had a fondness for Duesenberg guitars. So this is a Starplayer Special, and this is from 2002, so it's actually a first-year example. You can see there from the serial number, and it has the 2-bolt neck as well. So you can see this has been played. There's a bit of a buckle blemishing to the back, but this generally it would have been used by Chris in the studio. He had his sort of home studio as well as commercial studios that he worked in. So yeah, 2002 Duesenberg Starplayer Special. So this one's going to be lot number 2 in the sale, and as you can see again, a Duesenberg Starplayer Special, this time in cream. You will see with some of these guitars we do have some sort of tarnishing and rusting to the hardware. These have been in storage for a very long time, sort of in between tours, in between projects, but you'll see 2007 there, and this time we've got a slightly different bolt-on neck there, so we got the four bolt neck rather than the 2 bolt as they started. Again, with blemishes and dings as you'd expect from a used working guitar, but another really good quality Duesenberg Starplayer Special. Again from 2007, and again a Duesenberg, so acquired at a similar time to the last one that we have just seen. Lot number 3 this is, and of course this is a Starplayer TV model. When I say of course, for those who know, but we've got the sort of Duesenberg trem system, very much like a Bigsby. We got the gold sparkle guard, as most of the guitars of this model and of this run had. Black finish. Again, there's some tarnishing and oxidization to the hardware. This can be cleaned off fairly easily. We've got the black finish. But again, another good guitar, 2007 Duesenberg Starplayer TV. So this one here is lot number 6, and we've got a Strat type guitar. Now this is a custom build guitar made by Chris. He was a very keen builder of instruments in his spare time. If you look in the rest of the catalogue when it is fully uploaded, you'll see there's a big selection of guitar spares, bodies, necks, pickups, other parts that Chris used to build his own guitars. So this is one of them. As you can see, we got a Fender logo on the neck. Now this is a Fender licensed neck, so it is okay to sell it with a Fender logo on. It's a Fender licensed Mighty Mite neck. The body is unknown, but we've got this sort of sky blue body. We've got various other miscellaneous parts. There are some Fender parts on here, missing a back plate there, but it's a well-made little guitar actually. Grover kidney button tuners. And I think for those that might get outbid by some ferocious bidding on some of the Ultravox used instruments, and you do want a memento from Chris's collection, and you want it to be an instrument, this will probably be one to go for, because the value will probably fall lower than some of the, like I said, Ultravox used instruments. So yeah, lot number 6, a Strat type electric guitar. So another custom built guitar, as you can see from the headstock there, the rather amusing name that I'll let you all read for yourselves. So lot 7 is a jazz style bass, so comprising some good parts, good quality pickups, and as you can see, badass bass 2 bridge, the natural finished body. But again, these would have been parts that that Chris would have acquired and put together for a bass to use in various situations. What exactly, we don't know, but it's certainly, as you can see, it has been used by him. But so there we go, a custom build jazz type bass guitar. So lot number 8, we have another custom build guitar. I think this is a really cool guitar actually. I love Esquires, I love single pickup guitars, as a lot of our regular viewers will know. And this guitar in particular has got a Van Zandt Telly bridge pickup. In the spares section there are some other sort of Van Zandt pickups from Chris's collection just being sold separately. Lots of spares, have a look at that when the full catalogue comes out. But we've got this really, really nice chunky maple neck, sort of big D profile, very 50s style, so 50s inspired guitar. And this guitar would have been used in the studio only. Now I'm only saying that because there's no Strat buttons, so he never installed Strat buttons, and it's not an unfinished project, so obviously never needed to use it standing up. After all, live he did play bass synth anyway, so with Ultravox at least. So this would have been a sat down strumming studio type guitar, but really, really nice Esquire, 50s type Esquire. And what collection would be complete without some Gibson guitars? So we've got 2 Gibson guitars in the collection, the only 2 Gibsons in this collection, and both modern. 2004 this one, so this is a Gibson Les Paul special double cut, and it has had sort of an orange stain finish put on it. This has been from the faded series. It's got some replaced Strat buttons, replaced switch as well by the looks of it. So yeah, 2004 Les Paul special double cut. And then we have a Melody Maker Les Paul as well, with the single P90 dog ear pickup. As you can see, 2006 this one, in pretty good condition actually, in the cherry finish. So both of these Gibsons from a very similar period, made within 2 years of each other. And that is the 2 Gibsons in Chris's collection. And here we have a Paul Reed Smith, so a Korean-made PRS SE Singlecut. And this guitar, when we collected the instruments, this was one that was sort of out ready in his home studio, so used for home studio projects, sort of recording. It's had its pickups upgraded. Chris did tinker with things like he did with his custom builds. So this does have bare knuckle pickups. So we've got a sort of standard humbucker in the bridge. Not sure exactly what model, but we do have the P90 or humbucker size P90 in the neck position. So there we go, 2006 PRS SE Singlecut. So from 1996 we have a Gordon Smith G60, so single pickup. I guess their take on the Les Paul Jr., isn't it? And very likely to have been owned by Chris from new. He used to buy guitars new, and according to the family, very, very rarely sold anything or changed anything around. So, yeah, Gordon Smith, 1996 G60 electric guitar. So lot number 14, we have the 2006 Line 6 Variax acoustic, and I think a lot of sort of studio and recording musicians do find these very, very useful because essentially what they can do with sort of modelling and things like that, and I'm sure that's the reason for it being in the collection. So Line 6 acoustic 300 series Variax. Now, as we know, Chris was of course a bass player, and so this is the first bass we're featuring in this video. So we've got an acoustic bass. It's the only acoustic bass, electroacoustic, this one from 2006. Breedlove ABJ 250, 4-string, and it's in great condition. Doesn't look like it's had a huge amount of use, but I'm sure it would have been useful for situations when needing an acoustic bass. And probably the wackiest thing in the auction, this is by a company that goes under the name of Wishbass, and as you can see, it's a 6-string bass guitar, very eccentric, Longhorn, US made, decent quality parts, Goto tuners. There are lots of makers in the US that do make basses like this with these sort of ply bodies. They sort of call them rainbow wood, with all the various woods sandwiched together. We've got some Kent Armstrong pickups there, and I did a bit of reading about these Wishbass guitars, and I found it quite interesting that how he calculates his cost is it's $100 per string, and then plus the cost of the parts. So that's how he calculates how much he charges someone for a bass. I'm sure this is something Chris would have ordered directly from the maker, but it's a really is a wacky thing. 6-string fretless bass by Wishbass. So just going back to guitars, and this is an extremely rare guitar actually. You really don't see many of these around. So we have a 85-86 pink Paisley Tokai Breezysound, made in Japan. We have a lot of Tokais in this auction actually, sort of in the sort of standalone guitar cell, non-artist related, so look out for those. But this is probably the rarest of the lot that we have in this pink Paisley finish. As you will see, it has been stored for quite a while. We've got this oxidization going on, so it does need a bit of cleaning. Some of the lacquer has started to pull. We are trying to keep these guitars as honest as they were found in storage as possible. We have done some light cleaning on some of them, but we're trying to sort of keep them essentially as they are, not to disturb things too much as Chris had left them. But yeah, this one from around 85. It was actually bought by Chris in 86, and when we were looking through the archives, we found this receipt. So as you can see, Chris Allen, of course, Allen was Chris's birth name, and you'll see 5th of March 1986 from Chandler's. So Chandler's in Kew this would have been, and you can see for £295. I think that's a really cool receipt. Chris Allen with the Ultravox underneath. So bought around the time of the Uvox album and the 86-87 tours that went on. But there we go, a pink Paisley Tokai Breezysound. I think this guitar kind of screams the era, doesn't it? So here we have a Casio Midi guitar, There we go. It's an MG510. As you can see, it has been used quite a lot. There's quite a bit of, I guess, oxidization and small areas of rusting where it's been, I guess, essentially perspired upon and then left and stored. But there we go. It's a cool guitar that really does scream the era, that sort of whole synth sound. And again, from Chris's collection. So here we have a Cat's Eyes acoustic, and this was Tokai's acoustic range. And yeah, this one again really is a relatively inexpensive, intrinsically relatively inexpensive guitar that Chris would have had lying around, but good quality despite the inexpensive nature of them, and just a good solid 6-string acoustic guitar. Now this guitar, not only was it Chris's, but it was also Midge Ure's, the frontman of Ultravox. Now there are various images of Midge Ure using a black Yamaha SG2000. This is one from 1980, so it's bang around the period that he was using them, live and in the studio. Midge used a lot of Yamaha guitars around then, and yeah, I think it's a cool thing. So it's got sort of double artist provenance, sort of ingrained in Ultravox history. As you can see, there's lots of dings and marks. So it has been used and played. Like I said, lots of videos, live studio work. So I think that's a really cool Ultravox piece to be in the sale, and confirmed by Midge as being one of his guitars. So here we have a 2004 Fender Mike Dirnt Precision Bass. Of course, Mike Dirnt's Precision Bass is very much in the Telly style. Got the Telly style head as well, and the sort of slab body. And there you can see the little star logo that Mike had on his signature basses. So this one has had its pick guard removed, holes filled and finished over. Now this guitar was used live with Ultravox in the sort of the later tours. 2009 and later, and you can go on YouTube, and you can go online and see lots of images of Chris using this guitar live. So it was the main bass guitar that he used for those later tours. Pretty much nearly every single image from those tours, he's using this bass guitar. So I think it's a really cool piece. Again, ingrained with Ultravox history, certainly of the later reunion shows, and it's just nice to have so many pieces that were used with sort of illustrated provenance. So as you've seen, there's a lot of memorabilia behind me. We got the logo here, the original logo from the debut album, the John Fox era Ultravox, and if you look down here, we have this case with the same logo. Now inside we have, I'll carefully open this up, there we go, and I will reveal a 1969 Gibson EB bass guitar. So this guitar was used extensively in the early John Fox era with Ultravox. We've got lots of photos of Chris using this guitar, and you can see here it's had some modifications. It's had the switch put in, it's had a XLR put in place of a standard jack, and we got this big Damasio pickup in the neck position as well. So modifications on this one, like I said, from 1969 with the white finish there. And I will just grab these images here. So we've got some original black and white still images of the John Fox era Ultravox, and you can see Chris there with the bass guitar using it live on stage, and then again there again. So we've got lots of images of him with this bass, all from around this time. I think we've got over 10 in this format. So yeah, lots of history again with this one from the very early days, where it all began. Ultravox from the 1970s, extensively used, and this is, like I said, a 1969 Gibson EB bass guitar. And from 1977 is this Guild B301 bass guitar, single pickup bass guitar, and this again was from the early Ultravox John Fox era, and its various sources do state that he did use this guitar alongside the Gibson. He had a Rickenbacker as well, but he was using this guild around that time. So again, Ultravox used in the very early days in the 70s. I'm sure it was used for some later work as well. It's been in his collection all that time. So from 1977, the Guild B301 bass guitar. Now this really is an iconic bass guitar from Chris's time with Ultravox. This is a 1982 Ibanez Blazer BL700 bass guitar. Now, if you look at a lot of videos, you can go on YouTube, various other sources, you can see this bass guitar being used in an awful lot, whether it's performances on Top of the Pops, things like that. There was the big performance at the Hammersmith Apollo Monument, the movie or the video that went alongside the Monument album. This is the bass guitar that's used in those performances, but they really are everywhere. And this bass guitar matches Midge Ure's Ibanez guitar that he had. So both Chris and Midge had matching guitars from the same Ibanez series, and Midge of course used his at Live Aid in 1985, and I mean Midge extensively used his as well. So an iconic bass guitar, one of the matched pair between Chris and Midge. So you really will see this one everywhere. I think it's a fantastic guitar. Obviously, it's been customised with this grey paint, and Midge did the same to his as well. And you can see it's had sort of other modifications in the past. The battery pack there has been removed, but yeah, I think it's a really cool instrument, and sort of a prominent instrument in Chris's early Ultravox years, so 82 onwards. Here we have an Ibanez Musician MC924 from 1981. So again, from the Ultravox early 80s Ultravox period, and you can see some buckle wear to the back. So it has been used. In what capacity, we're unsure. We haven't managed to find any sort of images or footage yet. We may still find something, but it's certainly been used by Chris in some capacity, and it's in relatively good condition. Some oxidization to the frets, like I said, a bit of buckle wear on the back, but a very, very good quality bass guitar. And I do have a lot of time for these Ibanez Musician Series instruments. So here we have quite a special bass guitar, and certainly one of the highlights of the auction. So this is a 1982 JV Series precision bass guitar made by Esquire. So Esquire by Fender, and this is sure to be a highlight of the auction because this bass guitar was used in the 1985 Live Aid concert at Wembley Stadium, one of the most watched concerts ever on TV, and possibly one of the most iconic live concerts in musical history. Now, Midge Ure, along with Bob Geldof, were responsible for the Band-Aid single the year before, 1984, Do They Know It's Christmas, which Chris was also involved with. So he was part of the vocal chorus during the song, and very much wanted to be involved. But this is the bass guitar that he did use during that Live Aid performance. Used on 2 tracks. He was synths on the other 2, but this was used for One Small Day and Reap the Wild Wind. So 2 iconic Ultravox tracks. They only had 4 songs in total. They only had an 18-minute set. It was all quite rushed, as we all know, with the huge array of talented artists that played. One of my favourite bands, Queen, they were there. They were on just after one of the first bands to play, alongside Status Quo. But this really, really is a privilege to sell this bass guitar that he used during that performance. And Chris has gone down on record by saying that performance was probably the highlight of his career. Just seeing those tens of thousands, or even more so, fans out in the sun-soaked Wembley Stadium. It's just a really great atmosphere there in the stadium, and just the realisation when he was playing that this concert is just being broadcast to millions of people worldwide. So a huge event, huge iconic event. Ultravox were, at the time, one of the biggest bands of the period, really are a band that defined the 80s, or certainly one of them anyway. I mean, people argue that they are the band that invented the 80s, sort of with their style and their music. But this very, very good Esquire JV precision bass guitar, of course, like I said, we're not going to go into the academic reasons of why this bass is so good, because of the artist provenance it has. Now, what am I wearing around my neck? This is actually Chris's artist pass that he wore on the day. So the day he was using this bass at Wembley Stadium at Live Aid. And then there's also we're selling this t-shirt with the bass. This isn't the t-shirt he wore. He wore a slightly different design t-shirt, but this is an original Live Aid Feed the World t-shirt. So a nice little package there, the t-shirt, the artist lanyard, and the bass guitar that Chris used at Live Aid in 1985. Really, really is an iconic thing, and we're very privileged to obviously offer the collection as a whole, but certainly this bass guitar. So we're just taking a brief break from the instruments themselves. There's a lot of memorabilia in this auction. We've got over 300 lots, so there's instruments, which includes amps, pedals, there's synths, lots of other studio gear, and lots of ephemera as well, and collectible things. So as you can see, we got some discs here. So there's gold discs, there's vinyl, there's tour merchandise. There really is a lot. Like I said, over 300 lots. Huge collection of vinyl, in fact. So we'll have a quick brief scan over some things in there, but there are a lot of sort of gold, silver and platinum discs from Chris's collection, and some rather iconic ones as well. We've just seen the Esquire precision bass. Now, heavily linked to this, or the bass guitar we've just seen, is this triple platinum sales award, BPI sales award for the single Do They Know It's Christmas by Band-Aid. So yeah, 3 million copies, getting triple platinum status, the 1984 single, and this was his presentation award for being involved with the single. But of course, we don't just have the Do They Know It's Christmas award, we've got all these other ones as well. Now, this is only a very small selection. We have approximately 20, mainly BPI ones, so British awarded ones, but we have Japanese awarded ones, New Zealand awarded ones as well, and some other European examples. Of course, we've got the iconic, I guess the album that really launched them into stardom after Midge becoming singer and joining the band, and bringing them on from the John Fox era, and basically threw them into their success that they had. So we've got the gold presentation disc for the Vienna album, and then we've got the Monuments soundtrack gold disc as well, and then we've got Lament as well down here. But we do have lots of other ones. Most of their albums achieved sort of gold status, and then we've also got a double platinum album for the Ultravox collection compilation as well. There are a lot more of these gold discs in the sale, and if you do have a look at the preview catalogue, you will be able to see all the ones that we do have. But like I said, lots of other ephemera as well, and we will quickly take a look at what else we have. So alongside ephemera, we have a lot of other instruments that were used with Ultravox, some of you that were used in just Chris's own home studio, but a couple of highlighted items we have. I guess this is one of them, is a saxophone. So this is a Selmer Super Action saxophone in lovely condition, as you can see. Quite collectible saxophones these days. I mean, intrinsically these make between sort of £1,500 and £2,000. Obviously got the artist connection as well. We do have a receipt here we found from 1986, made out to Ultravox Limited for an SA-80 alto saxophone, which would have been this. So that's just a really cool item. And then I guess moving around slightly, We've got some synth as well, obviously very ingrained in the 80s. Like I said, Ultravox have gone down in history, and some do say that they were very, very much responsible for almost inventing or creating the 80s with their style and their music, especially coming out of the Ultravox John Fox era. I mean, even Gary Newman does cite Ultravox as being one of his main influences, certainly that early John Fox era. Now, this synth that we are looking at right now is an EMS Synthi ASK keyboard synth. Now, this is an incredibly rare synth in its own right, but also has the history of being used with Ultravox. Now, there's a nice little YouTube clip where Chris does talk about his Synthi and what it was used for. And so with Ultravox, this one was actually used for a lot of the bass synth parts on the first albums, their very first Ultravox album. This was used for all the bass synth parts, and it was also used on the 1978 Systems of Romance album for the first single, Slow Motion, and Western Promise from the 1980 album Vienna. So it's been used on some of the very early albums, and these really are iconic synths. Dark Side of the Moon with Pink Floyd, they used a synth to create the electronic riff in the track On the Run, and to play the solo on Any Colour You Like, which is one of the reasons why this synth in particular is collectible, because it gets used for these iconic albums. And then, of course, they are just a rare commodity, really, and a collectible, and helps them shoot up in value. Now, these synths can change hands intrinsically for up towards 20,000. We've seen them listed for, at least. So they are valuable synths in their own right, but very, very exciting to have a synth that was used on some really early Ultravox songs. So there are many synths in this auction, but alongside the Synthi that we've just seen, we do have this Oscar as well. This is a rare synth. Only around 2,000 of these were ever made between 1983 and 1985, many of which finding their way into professional hands. Ultravox were one of the better known users. Now, this synth was actually used for the solo in Love's Great Adventure. Now, there is some footage online of this one being used in a live performance, but of course it was also used in the studio for Love's Great Adventure. So again, a used synth, an iconic synth from the period, and just a really, really cool item to have in the sale alongside the guitars and other ephemera. So I keep mentioning sort of other ephemera, so I'll give you a good overview of what we've got. So huge collection of vinyl, not just Ultravox vinyl, but other artists as well. We've got sort of white label promos, rare vinyl records just in their own right, and some very valuable pieces as well. But in terms of Ultravox, you can see here, I mean, we've got a original copy of Quartet, the album, signed by all the members there: Midge Ure, Chris Cross, Warren Cann. They're all there. And then we've got some modern box sets as well, sort of re-releases. These are quite collectible these days, and this is sort of one of Chris's personal ones that is still boxed and sealed. So, of the iconic Vienna album. And then just, I guess, to highlight other vinyl as well, literally hundreds of vinyl records. This is the Damned with the Eddie and the Hot Rods misprint cover. So a very, very rare vinyl indeed, and I mean, these can change hands for £1,000 plus. We have seen on various marketplaces, so it'd be really interesting to see what some of this vinyl does. So like I said, huge collection of vinyl, lots of Ultravox vinyl, other new wave vinyl, a lot of reggae that Chris was into, of course the Damned, and lots of bands of that era. And then we've sort of got various tour merchandise, as we can see here. I mean, you've seen me wearing this 1984 Original Set Movements Ultravox t-shirt that I am modelling, but we do have a 1986-1987 original World Tour Uvox World Tour jumper in pink. We've got the one in blue from the same tour. We've got a Rage in Eden original sort of tour t-shirt. And then we've even got ones that come from as early as the 70s. So this is from the Systems of Romance album from sort of 1978. So some really early and rare pieces as well. And we've even got some t-shirts that are from some of their early American dates as well. We've got a tour jumper that was that's come from the time that they appeared at the Marquee Club. So some really cool pieces. There's pin badges, all sorts. Anything you think you could get at a tour or a live show, that will be included in the sale in some capacity. Got lots of posters as well. This is just one because it's an early poster, rare poster. We do happen to have quite a few copies of this one in particular. So this is an uncirculated and sort of unused Ultravox tour poster. So you would have put in, this would have been up around the venue, and the venue would have been written in there in the box. Sort of Island Records promotional poster, but there really is a lot there. Really is something for everyone, and like I said, over 300 lots is a huge sale. So another interesting poster, 1984 Set Movements. Ultravox had a partnership with Levi's, Midge Ure and Criss Cross. They sort of did the music for the Rivets album, and they did have this sort of a sponsorship partnership, which is where this poster came from. Now, why I'm showing you this is because, interestingly, certainly one of the interesting items we have is the original proof artwork for the logo on that poster. So this is the original proof that was sent. It comes in the addressed envelope as well. So here we go. So there we go, sent to Ultravox from Peter Saville Associates. So this was the final proof for that poster and the Ultravox relationship with Levi's jeans. So we just saw some proof artwork, and this isn't Ultravox related, but does come from the Criss Cross collection. We're sort of unsure how this ended up in his collection, but it really is it's a cool piece. So Sex Pistols, obviously everything Sex Pistols seems to be collectible these days, but this is the original proof artwork for the advert for Never Mind the Bollocks that went in the record mirror. So there you can see the page 11 that it appeared on. We've actually found a digital copy of the record mirror with this advert appearing on page 11. So that is, we have illustrated that in the preview catalogue, or the catalogue, should I say. It will be on the final catalogue that will go up shortly before the auction rather than the preview. But here we go. This is the original advert for the Sex Pistols' iconic album that went into the record mirror, which was a big publication at the time. Does anything scream 1980s more than a Steinberger headless guitar? So this is Chris's original 1982 Steinberger fretted bass guitar. He did have a fretless one as well, and he did have other headless examples. At some point he did have a Hohner headless bass as well. But this bass guitar, we've actually got an image of Chris using it in Manchester on the 22nd of May, which happens to be my birthday. So this was 2 years to the day that I was born. This was actually taken by a fan, and this was sent to Chris. So here he is live on stage, 22nd of May. Put it in your calendars. Any gifts greatly appreciated. But 22nd of May 1984, and here is Chris playing this bass guitar. Now this bass does also appear online in some videos. If you have a look at the catalogue preview, you'll see in the footnote there'll be a link to a YouTube video with Chris using this bass live as well. But it, like I said, just screams 80s. Happens to be from the same year as the last instrument that we featured before we looked at some of the ephemera, the Live Aid used 1982 Esquire Precision bass. But it's a really cool bass guitar, and like I said, screams the era. And there we go. So again, very much an iconic instrument from the 80s. This is a Status Graphite Series 2000 bass guitar. Again, a headless bass guitar. This is the fretted version. And this guitar was used very much around the Uvox album period, and it even appears in the Uvox Souvenir Tour program. So as you can see there, Status, made in England these were, and really nice with this bass guitar. So we do have some provenance with it. So here you can see this is the original bass centre receipt, or it's certainly a copy of the original, received Jan 1986. So this is for the fretted bass guitar with the matching serial number. So there is the receipt for that instrument, and then, like I said, we have the original souvenir program here for the Uvox tour, and you can see Chris there in a studio holding the bass guitar. And again, there he is on stage. We're not sure whether in these specific images, whether they're the fretted or the fretless we have. We'll see the fretless one in a minute. But yeah, this bass guitar is, again, screams the 80s, headless. And if you go onto YouTube again, you can see in 1987, there's a live performance of Same Old Story by Ultravox, and Chris is using this exact bass. So again, great Ultravox history, and let's take a look at the fretless version. And we also have a fretless, as I said. Here's the receipt for it from the bass centre in Wapping, again in London. You can see fretless, and it has the matching serial number that is on the bass guitar, April 1986. So there's the receipt. Let's have a look at the bass. Like I said, we're not exactly sure in the souvenir program. You can't quite see whether it is the fretted or the fretless one. Of course, we know that the fretted one was used live with that video, but here is the fretless version. Whether it was a live used bass, I know Chris did use fretless basses live. He had a fretless Steinberger that he used quite a lot as well. But again, Series 2000, Status Graphite, made in England, bought new from the bass centre by Chris in 1986. And the last instrument today, the last item we're going to see today, is this 1984 Rickenbacker 4003 model bass guitar. Chris was well known for using Rickenbacker basses. Midge himself actually said that he remembers Chris using a sort of precision bass and the Rickenbacker bass most around the studio and in live, in some live situations, but certainly in the studio. He has sort of memories of him holding one of these. He did have more than one of this model, but this is his one from 1984, a 4003 model Rickenbacker bass guitar. As you can see, it does have some scars from where it has been used in the past, but mainly used in the studio. 1984 Rickenbacker 4003. So there we go, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed this consignment special update today, featuring the Crisscross Ultravox collection. Of course, not just Ultravox, other items from his sort of personal home use studio as well. Remember, this sale is taking place on the 3rd of December 2024. For those of you who are watching this video from the future after the event, if you have missed the sale, then of course you can go back and look at all the items that we did sell and have a look in the sale result. But this sale is coming up on the 3rd of December 2024. It will start at 10 AM and we are starting the sale with the Crisscross collection. Public viewing a couple of days before, so on the Monday before the sale and the Friday before the sale we do have public viewing, to come down, have a look at all of Chris's wonderful instruments and items. So yeah, thank you for tuning in today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, please remember to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon, and hit that like button as well to help other like-minded people see this content. So like I said, 3rd of December 2024, have a look at the catalogue. The preview catalogue is now online on our Guitar Auctions website, and of course the entire catalogue will be up on the main website a few weeks before the auction. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll see you next time.